Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Coach here, chilling, man, on a great Tuesday afternoon. Let me know everything looks good, sounds good, and we get this thing rocking and rolling. We are on episode 54 of the Coach Me Coach podcast. What's going on, everybody? I see a couple of people already in the building. Martin Quinn, he throwing the U up. I feel him. You see the U corner right there. All right, Mr. Overdose 101. Good evening. YouTube notifications finally did me a solid. I'm loving it. And Gemini in the building. What's up, everyone? What's going on? The producer is already in the building with a thumbs up, so we good to go. We ready to rock and roll. There she go. All right, here it is. So anyway, let's get into this today. My man Don will be joining us here shortly in a few seconds. But in the meantime, in between time, big shout out. Everybody know I'm a Kane fan. So hey, big shout out to the men's and women's basketball program. Women fell just a little short against LSU on Sunday, but the men end up pulling it out with a 12-point deficit with 12 minutes left. That's huge right there to take it to their Final Four. I believe it's their first Final Four, so big shout out to them, and really appreciate it. So let's get this thing rocking. Let's talk a little bit. It says the title is, What Will Spring Ball Football Tell Us? And for a lot of people who don't realize what spring ball does for coaches, I'll kind of give a little breakdown a little bit. Especially you can high school here in Florida. I know we do spring ball. I don't know about every other state. Some states don't do it at all, and some states have a very short period. But in Florida, we definitely take spring ball serious. It means a lot. You have, I think it's 20 practices, if I'm not mistaken, and then you have, it used to be jamborees back in the day, but now they have actual full games. Jamboree, you kind of play a half with somebody and call it a day. But now they do full games, and that's cool, and that's all well and good. But what spring ball does, it's an evaluation period for coaches to kind of like a preseason type deal of what you're going to see come the fall. All right. And what's interesting about spring football and college football now altogether is the transfer portal. It has thrown another monkey wrench into it. Why? Because there's certain windows that can happen. I'm telling you, to be a college coach today, it's tough. I have to tell you, it's tough. Simply because you're not only recruiting incoming freshmen from out of high school, you're trying to get new guys to fill some gaps that you may have somewhere around on the board, on the depth chart. But you're going to lose some guys, okay? Somebody maybe not be happy with their playing time. Somebody's not happy with, promises maybe that were made and not being kept, so forth and so on. Or some of these players see just the writing on the wall that maybe I'm just not good enough. So therefore that hurts your depth as well. Because as a coach, this player may not be up to par so far as a first stringer or even a second stringer, but he definitely can help us on the special team side. A lot of people forget that. This guy can definitely go down and be a special teams guru for us, and he can kind of fill in due to injury, something to that effect. But now you're starting to lose those guys to other programs where they can go and be a potential starter or at least a significant contributor to a new program. Well, here's the next wrinkle. There's a transfer portal window that opens up after spring. So now, once you think you have your roster set, once you think you have your philosophy set and your scheme kind of laid out, you may lose some key pieces to that part of the transfer portal. So with all that being said, it's tough to coach college football right now. Let me cut my phone off. I'm sorry, it keeps going off. Coach tripping out here. He ain't doing his job. Slap yourself, coach. All right. So that's what makes it super hard in college coaching today. Like I said, you try to get your roster set up, you try to get things done, and it just doesn't happen that way. And that's what makes it super hard. Today, I want to go over some teams. They're primarily in the SEC we're gonna talk a little Canes too. My man Dom, he gonna get on here. He gonna talk about his Ohio State Buckeyes. But we're gonna talk about some teams and kind of what will spring ball answer for them. You know, a lot of guys have now lost people to the NFL and they got to replace certain quarterbacks or running backs or DBs. There are a lot of new coaches that have come in so far that's going to bring a new philosophy. We want to kind of discuss those as well. And there's been some changes. I mean, you know, it's college football is not easy. I have to tell you that, man. It is not easy. All right. Gemini says, need the second portal to really see right. But here's the thing. And here's the funny thing about that second window. Yeah, you could bring guys in, but just because they look like they're a fit on film, but are they a fit in the locker room? You don't get a chance to evaluate them kind of off the field. You know what I mean, Gemini? Like, how do they interact with other players? What is their mindset coming in, especially coming in late like this? You know, those guys transferring in looking like, look, bro, this is my opportunity. I need this. So now I'm going to take somebody's spot. So now it's, how is the chemistry? Yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, how does that look? What does that do for your team? Does it make your team better? Some guys can come in your locker room and destroy it. You know, we saw that with Texas A&M with all of the problems that they had. I mean, they had this best recruiting class of all time, and it did not pan out, even though they were young and those guys were freshmen. But look at some of the things that were going on. I mean, you see it all over the place. So just because guys can play on the gridiron doesn't mean they play well in the locker room, if that makes sense. And that's the hard part when you're trying to evaluate these players and really kind of vet them and see who they really are. Because everybody's going to tell everybody, you know, from X, Y, and Z high school is going, oh, this kid can do this, kid can do that. And that's where a lot of coaches fail. Not that the kid can't play. It's the off the field stuff that happens. For example, I just saw the Coastal Carolina quarterback. Come on, man. We just had a show last week about guys making bad decisions. And I understand, and I'm not going to go on a rant about this, but I'm just going to say this quickly. I understand they're young. But how many examples do you need? Do you really have to be a hot stove kid? Do you really have to touch the stove to know that it's hot? There are a plethora of examples, numerous examples of people doing silly stuff. We just saw your boy Tony Mitchell from Alabama, 226 grams of weed in a firearm. And now, what's his young man? Dontrell Jackson, the quarterback for Coastal Carolina, he goes to jail for drugs and weapons. Anyway, but again, so now look at a school like Coastal Carolina. Now, this guy's suspended indefinitely. I don't know if they're going to necessarily kick him off the team. But Coastal Carolina in spring ball, and look what happens. Now they've potentially may have lost their quarterback. So now that affects the entire team. I don't know if he was a starter or not. I'm assuming he is based on the publicity in the media coverage he's kind of received from that. But look what that does to a coach. Now you've lost your starting quarterback, not the injury, to stupid decisions. Now, number two, got to get ready to rock and roll. So I just want to kind of put that out there. Let me check out some of these comments up here. Sean Green in the building said, what up, coach? Well, he said, I'm sorry, what it do, coach? What's up, man? No, you from the crib. All right. Look at Michael here. What up, Canes family and coach? What's going on? Miss Diva. Hey, everyone. Hey, Miss Diva. How you doing? Really appreciate you. And Daryl Page. I was at Walmart working. Them folks played that one night on the night shift over the intercom. That's what I'm talking about. For those that don't know, we did a late night show one night, and we played, you know, our little theme music was on the night shift there by the Commodores. So I'm loving it. All right, Devon says Coastal still has Grayson McCall, so nah. Yeah, that may be a good deal, but now you lose your depth. What happens with Grayson McCall may catch an injury. That's back to what I was saying. You losing guys. So, yeah, that's a great point right there. All right. And Devon was Coach Hayes with the stream fire. I appreciate that. D from Duval in the building. He said, what's up, coach? What's going on with you, man? Anyhow, let me get back to this thing. Johnny Law, you silly, man. He said that you and basketball coach was dancing to the night shift after they won against Texas. I bet he was. I was like at 3:45 in the morning or some craziness. But anyway, okay, Miss Diva 1 says I have some some thoughts pertaining to these kids and the lack of knowledge. I guess you're pertaining to uh the decisions that they make when it comes to uh illegal and felonious activity. I guess that's what you're pertaining to there, Miss Diva One. So I appreciate that. Waiting on my man Dom to come in so we can really break this down. I guess he'll be here shortly. Or whatever the case may be. Sorry, but I'm trying to fix this paper. All right. So anyhow. Oh, okay. She says student athletes. All right, there you go. You say student athletes. All right, Joseph, Alexis, much love. Much love to you, Joseph. So that's what we want to do. We want to break this down. We're going to talk about some things that's going to happen so far as spring ball and who needs some work. I know I got my people on here. I want to get this going, but like I say, so back to spring ball. Let me go back to that. So back to spring football. From a coach's perspective, here's what else you have to look at. Especially new coaches who are coming in, new coordinators, right? Not necessarily position coaches as much, but new coaches, like new coordinators rather, their philosophy, or even just new head coaches, right? Building that going on. For example, Coach Prime over there in Colorado. Yeah, been a lot of fanfare, but they just starting to get into ball. You know what I mean? So it's been a long 3 or 4 months of trying to get the culture right, get everything set, get everybody working on the same page. So these are things coaches go through. And anyhow, so as coaches, you come in, you evaluate your players. You know, if you at your previous job, you know you're going to new school or whatever, you're looking at film, trying to evaluate who you have, who's coming in, who may be leaving, what is the transfer portal looking like. And you go out there and you kind of set the stage for spring ball. And yeah, you don't really want to show much, but you got to show something because I got to get it on tape. And then, like I say, that whole thing flips when it comes to the transfer portal. And that's the wild thing right there for coordinators. And that's what makes it super hard. Now, if you're programs like Alabama, Ohio State, even your Clemsons, these big time, even Michigan now, I think has caught some stability, even though they've had some turnover, but they've caught some stability. And it's amazing how Michigan has kind of changed this because Coach Harbaugh being at Michigan, I don't know, I think it's year 7 or something like that now, has had coaching turnover a lot, but he's been productive. I think Coach McDaniels, I believe, was a DC, went back to the Ravens, and now you got Coach Partridge, who was there before as a safeties coach, is now coming back from Ole Miss as the DC. Same thing with the offensive coordinator. Josh Gaddis left. They brought the new OC in, right? And they still were successful. So it's just amazing how some coaches can run their program with a lot of turnover. Of course, you see that all the time at Alabama. Alabama is another one. They bring in Reeves, if I'm not mistaken, from Notre Dame, young guy, relatively young guy, and the train keeps rolling. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And so those are the interesting facts. But some people, and I have to just say my Canes, Coach Cristobal comes in, you bring in the Broyles Award winner. This is what I was talking about, fit. This is exactly what I mean when I talk about fit. We bring in the Broyles Award winner. We bring in, shout out to my man Warren, the SEAL Team 6 of coaching. Think about this. Think about the experience and the knowledge that comes out of this deal. And we can go on about players. I'm not going to get into all that. But think about Charlie Strong, national championship winner coach, been in this game a long time. Kevin Steele, a long time. Dye comes in off a championship with Georgia as a DB coach. You're just talking about the experience, and you turn around with a 5-17. I don't think anybody, including Las Vegas, the true gamblers would have said we would have been 5-7 coming out of this season. So that's where it gets a little tough. That's the hard part. You know, just because things look good on paper, there's also a human element. There's a fit that has to go along with that as well. So, like I said, I think my man he'll be here shortly. I know he was taking care of some other stuff for work. Let me see if I have any questions. Right here, Gemini in the building. It says, that is why my coach told me not to go home for 6 months because I'm here for ball and learning. You're right. Right. It's huge. Ohio Kane says, Coach, is it worth to get season tickets? Always going to be worth it to get season tickets. I mean, you do what you can afford, definitely. I will always say that. But if you can afford to get season tickets, we have to support people. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about the Canes, of course, but it's for any fan base. If you can afford to do it and you can do it and make it happen, go support those guys because they are playing their hearts out, believe it or not. And that's what it's all about. Let me see here. Divine Obsidian says, there were some dark years before Harbaugh, but we've had dark years with Harbaugh too. Glad we're winning now. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I think he finally found his footing because he was almost, I think, on the verge of being put out the door. He was on the super hot seat, and I believe the AD's name is Emmanuel. Last name may be Emmanuel. I think he gave him a pay cut, if I'm not mistaken, just to say, hey, look, if you want to stay here, we got to take some money from you. And it seemed to work out. Maybe that sparked something, or maybe he found the right chemistry. Sometimes that has to work out as well. So appreciate that, Devon. Rand 67, have you ever had the opportunity to coach at the college level? Yeah, I coached actually with Coach Cristobal over at FIU for 1 year, his last year. And then I coached with Ron Turner at FIU his first year there at FIU. So yeah, I had an opportunity to do that, man. So I've been in those rooms, had an opportunity, blessed to have an opportunity to hear the things that go in the background. So that's why I actually call this thing Coach Me Coach podcast, where we used to say these things all the time. We want our players to always say, Coach me, coach, like beg for that. Like, don't just let me fall. But I use that also as the same way if I want the fan base and the team here to coach me as well. I don't know everything. Don't claim to know everything. But I do like to give things from my perspective, from a coach's perspective, and kind of what it's like behind the curtain in that sense. So yeah, Rand, I really appreciate that question. Thank you so much. Here it is real quick before we go ahead and get started. If you'd like to donate, you can go ahead and do so right here at PayPal or Cash App. All the information is in the description, and we'll go from there as well. So I don't know what Dom is. I done stumbled and bumbled enough, so I'm going to go ahead and probably go and get started. I'll answer a question if I can find one. Mr. Overdose says LBs need to focus on open field tackling. Wow. Yeah, that's true. But I always told people this about tackling. One thing about tackling is if you get more people to the ball, the likelihood of big plays happening dwindle a lot. You know, these guys are good. You have to remember, you're talking about superior athletes, and we're talking about defenders who are trying to tackle somebody not in a phone booth, but in a wide open football field. And so that's what's hard about it. And that's why I tell people you got to get people to the ball. If that is one of your major focuses as a defensive coordinator, tackling becomes easy. If you go look at the great football teams, it's very rare that you see a lot of one-on-one tackling. It's very rare. You usually see minimum 4 guys within a 3 to 4 yard vicinity of that ball carrier. You know, even though if one guy may make the tackle, it's 3 more just coming in, a guy flying in late. So that's why if you're a DC, you got to harp on getting guys to the football, because if you don't, bro, these guys, I mean, think about this. We're talking, some of these cats have great speed, agility, balance, you know, size and everything else. And we talk about making an open field tackle when they can do anything, and a defender is kind of at a big disadvantage right there. I want to bring this piece up right here before Dom comes on here. I saw this in the news, and I want to know people's thoughts about it. I'll check out the I'll check out the chat. I would love to hear your comments. I see Fresno State. I think it was the president of Fresno State was saying that the Big 12 was interested in them coming over. I thought that was interesting. Another Cali team coming to the Big 12. I thought that was huge. I thought that was real interesting for Fresno State to make that move. That is going to be a big uptick for Fresno State, who's actually playing some good ball and everything else. So that's going to be huge. I just saw that pop across my screen not long ago. But anyhow, let me text this dude if I go in to push this deal on. Real quick, what's your thoughts on that? Fresno State coming, or because I'm kind of looking like these conferences is kind of like the music industry today, right? When you look at hip hop, you know, I know I'm an old school back in the day. You know, when I always talk about back in the day, let me see.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Some days I sit and wish I was a kid again, because back in the days, conferences had certain identities, right? And I say that to say this, you know, Big Ten was known for, you know, pounding the rock, old school, you know, blue collar football, you know, 3 yards in a cloud of dust type deal. You know, the Pac-12 was known for throwing the ball around the yard. Big Ten, Big East back in the day had the speed and all of that stuff. So that right there to me was huge. Now you're seeing it's kind of like the music industry today. So I said that to make the parallel to say you knew what West Coast music sound like. Like maybe you didn't even know the artist. The sound alone, you're like, oh, that's a West Coast song. East Coast, down south, Midwest. You know, now you got rappers out here like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to say his name, but you got dudes like what's the dude who can't rap, mumble rapper, Panda Panda. He's from New York, and you think he's from Atlanta. You know, you got J. Cole. He's from North Carolina, from the South. He sound like he's from, you know, New York, the East Coast. You got Kendrick Lamar from California, sound like he's from New York. So that's what's happening right now. Mark Stamper say, yeah, you know, you shouldn't be able to depend on the Buckeyes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm at to throw a flag on that dude. Designer. Thank you, Divine. Designer. He's so bad. I couldn't even remember his doggone name. But anyway, everybody, what they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. So he was right with that one song. I got to get it. That was a hit. You know, it was what it was, but that don't mean you the greatest of all time. And he definitely won't be playing in my ride if you ask that. But anyhow, yeah, that's the point. Well, let me go ahead and push this on here. Let me go ahead and kick this deal off. Let's start with Alabama. Alabama has a lot to look forward to. So Alabama, we know they lose their quarterback in Bryce Young, and it's a very interesting conversation. Alabama always loses a quarterback, I have to be honest. And they find these new guys. Now, I have to say, they've been very lucky. Finding guys that can carry the torch. To flip that to Clemson now, right? You know, you had a Kelly Bryant at Clemson, and here comes Trevor Lawrence, right? Boom, you straight goal. But after Trevor Lawrence, then what happens? DJU, I don't want to jack up his name. DJU comes in, that's not so good. Even though he was highly touted as a high school, I think he was maybe within the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks coming out of the country. May have been number 1 if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. But anyway, he comes out, and it doesn't fare well. So you end up having to hit the transfer portal. Now you have Cade Klubnik coming in, and he's now taking over. So maybe that'll work out. But Alabama, back to this point, is losing Bryce Young. Okay, well, we know that. Well, before that, they had other players. They had Hurts, and they had Tua, and they had so forth and so on. But they always find a way. Right now, currently, you have Jalen Milroe, and you have Ty Simpson. Jalen Milroe is more athletic, I believe. Jalen Milroe may be bigger, faster, you know, stronger. I don't know. I broke both of them down, but guys, you remember I do so many of those things. And then Ty Simpson, to make sure is the more of a pro style guy. So that's going to be interesting. That is a question that they will definitely have to find out come the spring. All right. They have a new offensive coordinator. We're going to see what that chemistry looks like. How is that going to work out for them? Bill O'Brien leaves. And again, they're another team that has a lot of turnover when it comes to coaches. Their coaches constantly turn over. Their coordinators constantly turn over. But one thing about Alabama's blueprint, or Nick Saban's blueprint for hiring coaches, and this, I think, the first time he kind of deviated from his blueprint, and we'll see if it works for him. His offensive coordinators are typically guys who are head coaches that are offensive coordinators, or offensive minded rather, right? You look at the Bill O'Brien, the Steve Sarkisians, the Mike Loxleys, Brian Dayball. I mean, we can go on and on. But what do they all have in common? They were head coaches that were offensive-minded guys. So he kind of killed two birds with one stone. What does he do? He said, look, you guys got the offense. You the head coach of the offense. During the week, I'm the head coach of the defense during the week. And on Saturdays, I'm the head coach of the football team. But I thought that's pretty brilliant, but it's hard to get those guys. You can't get them unless you have that status like Alabama does, because there's such high status. Of course, those guys will go there and coach. And people always say go there, and Lane Kiffin, I forgot about him, and rebuild their program. I mean, rebuild their brand as a coach. And usually the guys go off and get head coaching job, like Steve Sarkisian left and went on, became the head coach at Texas. And Lane Kiffin leaves, goes to FAU, now Ole Miss, and so forth and so on. Mike Locksley leaves there and goes to Maryland, so forth and so on. So that's going to be a big answer right there. Let me see here. BT Nightlife. See, Alabama losing Dade in Broward County. I guess you're talking about in a recruiting battle. Yeah. There's some guys still getting out of here. But yeah, no, that's a good point. With the emergence of Mario Cristobal coming in, he kind of put a stop to some of that. I'll put it this way: the gates are not as open as they used to be. I mean, it was literally like, the dam broke and all the water was just rushing out. So far as recruits, all the recruits just rushing out of here. So he's slowly but surely adding bricks to that dam to kind of stop that water up. So I guess better compare, he working like a beaver. Let's talk Florida. Florida football is interesting. Here's the funny thing about Florida. Florida loses Anthony Richardson to the draft. He goes on to the draft. Big old dude. We know that. Throw the ball a country mile. But he didn't have a stellar college career. I have to be honest. He played ball. I think it was he didn't throw a touchdown. I know he threw a 2-point conversion, but that's not a touchdown. But he had not thrown a touchdown, I want to say, in the first 3 games of last season. There was not a touchdown thrown in the first 3 games of last season. If it was 3, maybe 2. And now he's a front runner here in the NFL draft. I'm telling you, man, it's amazing. So right now, Graham Mertz is up. Right now, he's supposed to be the starter. But Jack Miller, who's a transfer from Ohio State, they say he's nipping at his heels. Be very interesting to find out. All right. And I know they have a young guy that's signed to them. I think DJ Lagway or something like that. I believe that's his name, DJ Lagway. I think he's from Texas. He's supposed to be coming in as a freshman, so it'll be very interesting to find that out as well. But the problem is, it's been so much, I don't know if the right word is dysfunction, but it's been so much disarray, I guess, when it comes to Florida, and they can't seem to get it together. But Coach Billy Napier has been bringing some guys in, bringing coaches in. I know on the back end, they got Coach Corey Raymond, good dude. And we'll definitely find out. I mean, they got Kamari Wilson back there, the top safety that was in the country in that class. He actually is the one who started off this channel so far as the WRE. So big shout out to Kamari Wilson out there. I wish him nothing but the best. But it'd be very interesting to find out how that works when it comes to Florida. And again, I don't know, Meezy. See, Lagway, a 2024 kid. You know what? He is a 24 kid. You're 100% right. Come on, Coach. Tighten up. Tighten up, Coach. Okay, but Devon says Lagway. Let me see. Oh, yeah. I'm going to actually break them down. I'm breaking them down. And Lagway is a dog, I'm telling you. Yep, definitely. All right. So let's go to the next one. I'm trying to save a few spots here for my mans right here. I don't know what he's up to. LSU will be an interesting one. Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is coming back. I think LSU had some good talent. And Coach Kelly came in and did a lot better than most people expected. I have to be very honest. We know when Coach O left, LSU was kind of, and Coach Kelly had to come to his credit. His recruiting tactics look a little funny with that little dance where he dancing behind the dude and he doing the little 2 fingers on the eyes. You need to leave that up to the young boys and the pimple popping GAs, but he has turned that around. Now here's the big question: can Jaden Daniels become the man? And that's the real question. That's what spring ball I think is going to answer for Coach Kelly and the Tigers. Is will he be able to become the man at LSU and lead them? I think they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of pieces around them. But without a quarterback, baby, a Lamborghini just a hunk of metal without the engine. Just being honest, just an expensive hunk of metal. But if you don't have if the engine's not running right, just expensive hunk of metal. And it is what it is. All right. Somebody said, do we get to call in tonight? I'm about to do that here in about 3 minutes if he don't come on. We about to open that up. But yeah, you could definitely call in. We could chop it up and talk. Ole Miss, another quarterback issue. Lane Kiffin is at Ole Miss now. Last year, their quarterback, Jackson Dart, I believe it was. Jackson Dart. Was it Jackson Dart? I think it was Jackson Dart. Anyhow, yes, Jackson Dart. I'm pulling it up now. I don't think he panned out to be what he could be when it came to what's the quarterback they had the year before? I can't think about it. What's Jackson? The guy before Jackson Dart, Corral. Corral came in place of good ball, but to Lane Kiffin's credit as an offensive mind, he put Matt Corral. Yes, thank you guys. Matt Corral made those plays, but to his credit, he changed it up and said, "Man, look here, I'm gonna put the pressure on these 2 backs I got back here, and we're gonna make this thing happen, man." You understand what I'm saying? We're gonna definitely make this thing happen. So that'll be definitely a big question for them, as well as their defense. I just told you, Coach Partridge left the defense, and that's always been, I guess, a Lane Kiffin issue, is that has great offenses, high-scoring offense, high-powered offenses, but the defenses are subpar way back when they had DJ Durkin and all of that stuff right there. So it's been a lot of movement in there, and we'll definitely find out. But remember, there's a big-time player going into Ole Miss and Walker Howard. Walker Howard, and he's probably got some of the most views on the channel so far as a WRE, to watch, react, and evaluate. He was an LSU commit and signed, and then he transferred out and went to Ole Miss. So I guess the writing was on the wall when it came to Jaden Daniels. But anyhow, he may emerge to be the guy, and that might be huge right there. That might be huge right there. So I got my man Dom in the back. Real quick, I'm going to pop this up here on the screen. Big shout out for the $5. Thank you so much. I got Ray in the building. Thank you so much, Ray, for the $5 on Cash App. Like I said, you could donate. We'll throw it right here on the screen for you. I'll blank out the names because I know some of your Cash App have your government names on it, so I'll blank out the names for that case. But if you got your government, I'll give you a nickname. If you don't, I'll read it out. But really appreciate that $5. Thank you guys so much. All right, now I need y'all to clap this up for my man, because I don't know what he was doing. I know what he was doing, and y'all gonna know what he was doing too. This is what happened. Y'all clap it up for my man, Dom, in the building. Dom, I was worried about you, but I realized what you were doing.
Do you want to tell them, or should I?
I know what you would know. You don't even have to tell them. They can see it for themselves. I know what you were doing, and I hope you didn't hurt your back.
That tree accumulated so much dust, I had to put a mask on, man.
You were dusting off the Christmas tree, bro.
Man, such a sad time over here in the household. Had to put the tree down. As you can see, it is no longer with us. But just wait till September. I'm putting it up early this year. So y'all gonna have to stick with it. Shad, I'm sad too, dog. But listen, it'll be back. Just give it a few more months.
So
it's coming
we'll
back.
Find out, man. So I've already run through Alabama. I talked about Ole Miss and I talked about LSU. I'm not sure what you heard so far as in the deal right now.
You really think Walker Howard is going to overtake Jackson Dart and Spencer Sanders?
I don't know. I just know he was highly touted. I have to be very honest. He can play, and there's a reason he went there.
That's true.
There's a reason he went. Because here's my deal. I think Jaden Daniels, this would be his last year, right?
Yeah.
So if he was going somewhere to sit, he would. Why not sit at a place with the coach? You're gonna be. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna go somewhere to sit, I might as well sit there, knowing I'm gonna be the man next year.
Okay.
Or he get on the phone and he had a talk with LK. Hey, brother, is it my turn? Yeah, we're gonna make it look a little rough in the spring, but you got this.
Hey, listen, we're gonna find out soon. In just a couple months, we'll find out. So listen,
we're gonna find out in a couple weeks. They're gonna play in this spring game.
Yeah, but you see, they're gonna sugarcoat it and everything, for the spring games. Unless, because here's the thing: if you're right, I wholeheartedly believe Jackson Dart might transfer.
I think so. I think he did his time. He did not produce last year. Let's call it what it is. He didn't produce last year. It was your job. Matt Corral came in and kind of set the bar, and you underperformed. And that's just what happened. So why do you go get a Walker Howard? Just for this particular reason. And Spencer Sanders, he comes in to, where's he coming from? I forgot. Where's he transferring from?
Oklahoma State. So, hey, it'll be interesting to find out. We'll definitely see. Let's jump into these right quick. Because I did mention that we'll talk a little. I told him it's more about SEC kind of today, but we'll talk some one Big 12 school and one ACC school, if you know what I mean. Edward says it's Spencer Sanders' job. Purr. Is that a purr? Is that how you supposed to say it? Am I sounding crazy? Edward, I think you're gonna be sadly mistaken. Because it is.
I don't know. We're gonna find out. I brought up Florida. I talked about them already. Let's talk about this. I talked about LSU, Ole Miss. Let's go into these bums because we finna play them. Texas A&M. We played them week 2, I think, of the season.
Let me check. I want to say week 2 or week 3.
Yeah, it's week 2. I think it's Miami, Ohio. Texas A&M, Bethune-Cookman, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. First 3 games. Here's my question, bro. We were talking about transfer portal, what spring ball means for coaches so far as getting a chance to look at their players, so forth and so on. But because there's another transfer window after spring, it kind of resets you a little bit if you lose some depth, whatever the case may be. Somebody's not happy. I didn't get enough reps in spring, yada, yada. So here's my question. Texas A&M brings in the number 1 class last year of all time, highest ranked of all time. So these young guys who came in are now sophomores on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
They should now be major contributors to the team. Okay. I guess the real question is, I said you've had a lot of off the field issues with a lot of, I think, different areas. If the report is right, and I'm just going to say allegedly to save myself, the dude was bold enough to light up a J in the locker room. Hey, boy.
But I was like, okay, allegedly. But the one thing we do know is he was going like 50 miles an hour in the parking garage. And put it on Instagram live streaming it.
Hey, because that boy was on that gas.
Oh, boy, man.
Hey, he was on that gas. He was on that gas.
Am I missing something here?
That was a bad joke. Yeah, that's what they call weed, gas.
Oh, okay.
You get it? Gas.
I got it.
That's
Coach, you're showing your age, dog.
What you mean?
I have never heard anybody say gas for weed. Rick James had a whole song about it.
Hold up. I'm showing my age. It sounds like the roles reversed because that's what they call it. Put in the chat. Let me know what they call it today.
Gas, Mary Jane, weed.
Mary Jane. Now that's some 1970s stuff right there. You might well say the word reefer.
Reefer. I was just listening to Rick James.
YouTube be busting your head when you say certain words. So I
Oh,
try to
yeah.
put an R on the end of it. But anyway, let's talk about them. What's going on? Bobby Petrino gets over there. Broke neck Bobby, that's what I'm gonna call him. Falls off the doggone motorcycle. Broke neck Bobby is now over there. What does that mean? What does this mean for Texas A&M?
I don't know. And the thing is, and I know that's such a weird answer, but this is such a weird situation. So here's what I do know. So I just pulled up a depth chart. So you got Connor Wegman. I don't know if you broke down his film.
Carter what? Wigman? No. Oh,
yeah.
I may have. I don't know.
You have former baller at Miami Central, Amari Daniels. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he go to Central? Anaya Smith, Moose Muhammad III, who everybody knows what his dad was, a bad boy in the NFL, and he's legit too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a relatively, they got some young pieces on the offensive line. And so I'm looking at that. And then, defensive line, McKinley Jackson, Walter Nolan, Fadil Diggs, Shamar Turner, Tony Grimes, Kent Robinson. So the talent is there on both sides of the ball. Offensively, can Jimbo put his ego aside and let Bobby Petrino run the full offense? I don't know how that's going to work. I'm just being honest.
You're right. And it's all going to be based on their relationship personally. I believe that. Because you've been doing something so long. Think about it. Jimbo's been doing this for so long and has been successful at it. Let's call a spade a spade. He was at Florida State, won a natty with it. He's been successful doing it. One of the hardest things to do is give up something you've been doing for a long time.
I'm going to read you a quote, Coach, when you get done. Go ahead.
Yeah,
finish.
I'm done. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off. So they did I don't know what practice this was, but they began, and this is what I'm about to read right now. It began with the question, who will call plays? Jimbo. We'll go through that as we go. Fisher stammered and stalled as the next question was being asked. He shed more light on the potentially explosive idea of coexisting. Plan on him making the calls. Plan on him calling plays. I have no problem with that at all. So there was some just even in that answer, but there's just so much I don't know if there's a plan. I don't know. And so then they asked him a question and another question. So Jimbo said it's not scheme about, okay, so here's more context. It was instead more important to be clear from the jump that Petrino isn't here because Jimbo Fisher failed. This is what Jimbo said again. It's not scheme, it's execution. Go watch film. There's not a hill of beans between anybody as far as what goes on. A counter is a counter. A dig and a post is a dig and a post. Verticals are verticals. It's all the same. It just goes back to execution and fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's all so simple, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how. You say it all the time. Football is simple. What Jimbo's saying is true. There's simplicity. But there's got to be a reason that your offense has not worked since Jameis Winston. Think about it. How long ago? What was that, 2014? So offense ain't worked for 10 years, man. 10 years. It's got to be more than execution.
Yeah, I think it's recruiting. I think it is why I say that. I'm gonna tell you why and I hate to say this. In order to win the big one, I think there are some coaches who get lucky. There are some coaches who right time, right place, great team, and you strike, the lightning hits the bottle or whatever you want to call it. I look at your one-hit wonders. I just talked about Designer. had a hit. Panda, panda. But he not the
Outlet was
greatest.
pretty dope too. Listen, I
Who?
don't understand. He had a song called Outlet. That was listen. I don't know what he'd be saying in it, but it was legit.
No, I
Okay,
don't know.
fine.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is but does that make him consistently good? No. Does that mean that people are going to go out and flock to the stores because he drops a new album? No. There are very few things in life where you can be consistently good all the time. So I said that to say you have an Ed Ogeron situation, right?
Gene
Never known to
Chizik,
be
yeah.
a Gene Chizik,
Mm-hmm.
not known to be all good all the time. They have decent teams, so forth and so on. But that may have been him. He got that one hit and he chasing that hit for the rest of his life. And you never, there's some songs out there. We got some. Hey, I'm gonna show my age right now. You know who Lenny Williams is?
Girl, you know I love you. Yes.
Now that's a major hit for him. He's had some other songs, but nothing hit like that. And so
He
I
was,
say
yeah.
can happen because remember, it is sport and entertainment. It's very few, and the ones that have longevity at being real winners have mastered all of it, not just the X's and O's. They've mastered culture building, program building, relationships, recruiting, how to interact with the upper brass. Like the community, like they've mastered that. And that's what I think helps.
Man, Lenny had to bring Lenny. Lenny was good with Tower of Power, but to your point, he was with Tower of Power. It wasn't just Lenny.
You show him the oldest dude in here in this room right now. You show him the oldest dude in the
Hey,
room.
listen. That's my genre, dog. Come on now.
I love it, man.
Lenny
All
will
right.
cry the pants off a nun.
None.
Man,
I think they don't wear pants, so I guess he already won. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm just talking. But anyway, so that's what I was going to say. So I hear where you're coming from, and I totally understand where you're going. But when I look at, let's look at Miami coaches, for example. Okay. Dennis Erickson, when he left, what all did he do after he left?
Well, I don't know who that is, which may be proving your point.
You don't know who Dennis Erickson is?
Is that the receivers coach?
Oh, the head coach of the Canes, baby.
Okay, so that proves your point.
Right? So Howard Snellenberger, so far. I'm not saying I'm just saying like they were good at Miami. Larry Coker, right? Larry Coker. Yeah. I'm just saying, so they struck gold, but why can't they replicate that in another at a different address? I guess is the right way to say it.
So you brought up an interesting point, and just to stay with Miami and Texas A&M. So I don't know who Texas A&M's Week 1 schedule is, but Texas A&M comes to Miami, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I believe so. Wow, they do, I guess, yeah.
So let's just put it like it's rocking. The place is rocking. I forgot the stadium name. It is
the Hard Rock.
Yeah. Y'all, I'm tired. Y'all forgive me, I'm tired. So they get to the Hard Rock. Place is rocking. It's the fourth quarter. Third quarter, fourth quarter. Miami, and this is a realistic possibility. Miami could just catch fire and they could figure some things out defensively and everything. What happens when Texas A&M is not moving the ball? Miami's defense has the momentum. What happens between Jimbo and Bobby? Like this Jimbo say, I have faith in Bobby and it's okay? Or does Jimbo says, go sit down, I'm going to take over? We talk about it with players all the time. What happens when the chips are down, but what if you go in Miami and Miami's defense is kicking your teeth in and you can see Jimbo's not comfortable with this. So here's
the question. See, this is the stuff I'm talking about when it comes to coaching. There are a lot. Remember the old thing from the weird? Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. There are a lot of people who pull strings, even though you're the face of this deal. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I can't say I hope the guy that doesn't work at all.
Of course.
I guess that's the positive view. Well, I hope that it works out for them. But
no, we wish.
But anyway, I wish it doesn't work out for them. But anyhow, I was just simply saying, like, when you bring guys on, especially guys who have been head coaches for a long time. Bobby Petrino been a head coach for a long time. He's been doing it his way. Does he have enough to say, let me step out my own way and be a follower and not a leader? Does Jimbo know how to be the leader that steps aside and let somebody else lead for that moment? Like, that's the dynamic that's tough right there. And we hope to God it falls apart after week one.
Listen, they could go week one, just fall apart week
everybody, 2. And we played on week 2. But let's push on to a couple of more of these. But go ahead. Finish your point.
No, it's to your point. It's like, is Jimbo, because it seems that the people at Texas A&M said, bring Bobby in, let Bobby do what he wants to. Is it more of that, or is it more of like this Brian Hartline situation where he's calling plays under the umbrella of Ryan Day's offense? Like, they're not going to vary from what they do, but you have a play caller. Or is it like Jimbo is like, okay, you're going to call plays in my offense, essentially? Or, because it didn't seem that way. It just seems like they're saying, listen, we need something new. Let Bobby go in. And so that's why I thought that answer was interesting. Because Jimbo defended himself. Yeah, it's not me, it's them. They don't know what to do. That, to me, that's what it sounded like.
Yeah. So and here's what's funny part. I remember when I first started coaching, I remember Coach Dunn told me this. He said, let me tell you something. There's a difference between a coordinator and a play caller. Coordinator means you coordinate it. You put it together. Somebody else could call a play. Your job is to make sure the install that. So yes, typically does coordinator also mean, AK also known as play caller in a lot of situations, but not necessarily in all. I know Josh Heupel calls plays at Tennessee, but he has an offensive coordinator. I forget the coach's name at USF.
Goish.
Something like that. Yeah, something. But I forgot. But he's now the head coach at USF. And usually guys who are coordinators, who are not the play callers, they get those type of jobs at USF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's maybe what happened to Brian Hartline. He may have needed that title as we kind of segue into Ohio State. He may have kind of needed that title so he can go on to be a head coach at a group of 5 school somewhere, not necessarily the play caller. Will he call plays? Definitely. When they blowing people out by 30, of course Hartline gonna call some plays. You got to get your feet wet, right? So
exactly.
That's definitely going to happen. But let me do this. Let me push on because we got a couple of teams that we haven't talked about. I definitely want to talk about. I segued into Ohio State, but I'm gonna leave them there put them on pause for a second because we'll go to them
later.
Let's talk about Georgia. Georgia coming back. I looked at Georgia's schedule. Bro, can I say something? Hats off to the athletic director.
Yes.
Or whoever scheduled that stuff. Hats off to them. People can say what they want to say. You can get mad. You can complain about strength of schedule, yada, 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 whatever. But in order to beat a champ, you got to beat the champ. And let me tell you something. These boys may three-peat. Because they're going to start off the season. I pulled it up right here. Bro, they're starting the season off with Tennessee Martin, Ball State, then South Carolina. Come back with UAB, Auburn, then Kentucky. Then Vanderbilt, Florida, Missouri. Might have a good fight in Ole Miss, I don't know. And then a tough one here at Tennessee, and then Georgia Tech.
Is there anybody that you just named? So I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Is there anybody here that you just named that you can say they might be on upset alert against this team?
Here's the problem. T. Martin, no. Ball State, no. South Carolina, yeah. UAB, I don't think so. UAB, definitely not. Auburn, no. Kentucky, no. Because remember, the reason I'm saying no, Kentucky, they just lost Will Levis, new quarterback, not coming back. Is Spencer Rattler coming back to South Carolina?
No. But in all fairness, Will Levis, listen, I saw Will Levis versus Georgia. He was point shaving. So it does not matter.
But at least he was balling, and that's not coming back. So now it's a new
That's
face.
fair. Okay.
Vanderbilt, Florida, they in turmoil. They got a lot of turnover. Missouri, new quarterback. I don't know if Jake Garcia gets the job or not. Ole Miss, new quarterback. But again, it's later in the season. Maybe they'll catch their footing by then. I think they're going to have a very good defense again. The problem is, can Ole Miss defense stop Georgia? That's going to be the problem. All right. And then Tennessee, depends on how well they do. How does Joe Milton look coming out, throwing the ball? They're going to be in the end of the season. And here's another big key component. And this is where Georgia has the one up over everybody. The depth chart. By this time of the season, people are hurt. And Georgia is stacked the stable. So where guys are hurt, they got guys chomping at the bit, been sitting there 2-3 years. It's my turn. It's my turn. And then you finish out with Georgia Tech.
I don't see a way Georgia's not in the college football playoff.
Oh, they definitely in the playoff. They definitely
The only Tennessee, here's the advantage I'll give Tennessee. That game is at Tennessee. That's the only thing. It's at Tennessee. And my thing is, I don't know. Here's the crazy thing about, because I'm gonna tell you what could trip Georgia up, but then I have to tell you the solution. Here's what could trip Georgia up. Stetson Bennett is not back there.
Right.
Here's the solution. They don't need Stetson Bennett.
Right.
They have a mammoth offensive line and 6 running backs. So
right.
So that's what there's nothing I can think of. Maybe you don't have Darnell Washington at tight end, but you have Brock Bowers. You just got these receivers who are pretty good. You have a stable of running backs. Offensive line is good. Defensive line, you showed you have depth. You have that Michael Williams kid, he can ball. He was a freshman. He was giving Paris Johnson fits. They have some guys on the interior. Linebackers, you got, okay, fine, you're replacing Keely Ringo, but then they start a freshman this year at corner and everything. And guess what? And here's the thing. I always look when some of these kids get cooked, I like to see that, because they're going to get better. There's just more tape for you to get better. A couple of those kids got cooked against, Marvin Harrison Jr., but guess what? That's experience that they're going to use to get better. I think they lost a couple safeties, but then they just get like the kid from IMG who was ranked like the number 3 safety in the country.
Did Caleb Downs go to Georgia? I was getting between Georgia and Alabama.
Alabama.
Oh. It's Caleb Downs, but listen, they got that Malachi Starks. He ain't no punk.
He was the kid that started. He started as a freshman, and I watched him. I'm watching the Ohio State game, man, and everybody's talking about Keely Ringo.
He wouldn't got that boy.
Listen, Keely Ringo got toasted every single play by like 6 different receivers. Malachi Starks, man. Let me tell you something. Outside of Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ibuka, he was giving fits to everybody. He came up and tackled. He was legit. So Georgia, they seriously, I don't know. I sincerely do not know. Unless they beat themselves.
Bro, I don't see that. I be honest with you, I can't see them losing a game right now. Now, somebody brought up a good point about Mike Bobo, who's
Oh,
the former coach at Colorado State, if I'm not mistaken. I know
mhm.
he's had some health concerns in the past. I don't know what they are exactly, uh, but that is a question with Mike Bobo. And knowing that Kirby Smart is a defensive guy, he's kind of leaving it up to Mike Bobo to be the
That's
man. So
mm.
it
And
all
we've seen
depends
that
on how that
before.
because Todd
Remember,
Monken is going to the league. So
we've seen that before. We've seen it with good Alabama teams. Remember that 2015 Ohio State team that had all those people coming back that had a really bad offensive coordinator? We saw with them. We've seen it year after year. So I mean that is a valid point.
mhm. Oh, Edward, you crazy. Coach me, Mike Bozo.
Oh,
I
that's
actually know
cold.
I actually know Coach Mike Bobo. I had a kid go out to Colorado State, man. He was a pretty cool dude.
UGA hired a Clemson. Wait, hold on, Reggie. UGA hired Clemson's OC as an analyst. We have a backup plan for the backup plan. Reggie, did you not see Clemson's offense this year?
He's going to say it was the quarterback. Oh, I think Edward might have something to say about that Clemson offense. I'm gonna let them fight that out. But let's
Okay.
push this deal on because we passed the hour mark. But I want to just talk about a couple more schools real quick. Let me see here as I look through this list that I looked at. Yeah, Vanderbilt, whatever. I ain't talking about that. Man, that's
I'm,
so unfortunate with Mississippi State and Coach Mike Leach.
oh, I
Hate to
hate
see
that.
that man passed away, man. You know, he was a little different, but he was good for the sport, man. He really was. He was very good for the sport. Let's do this. I don't really see anybody else. There's Arkansas on here, Auburn. I don't think Hugh Freeze is going to do much. He's been talking a lot lately in the news about, you know, the Iron Bowl is going to be back to greatness and it's going to be the deciding factor of this, that, and the other, and whatever. But I don't know Hugh Freeze. You might get Cinnamon coming to the stage. And
Here's the thing. They
somebody else.
have a spread offense, but I'm like you. I don't really think they're going to do anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Auburn kind of, you know, yeah.
They
All right, let's
they
put
are.
this on. Let's take this thing to Columbus right quick.
Oh, wow.
What will spring ball answer for Columbus? And I'm gonna just kind of tee this up for you, and I'll let you knock it off the tee however you choose. So, of course, CJ Stroud, arguably one of the top quarterbacks, QB1, 2, or possibly 3 coming out in the draft. Has been said to be the most accurate passer in the combines and all of that stuff. But he's old news. Here's the new news. Who is the man? Who is the man that steps up offensively? Because I think Ohio State is in a very similar situation as Alabama when it comes to the engine of the Ferrari or the Lamborghini or whatever you want to call it. Without that guy passing the ball, it does put a lot of strain on a lot of things. I'm not saying to take a shot, but I'm just being honest. I don't think I don't think Ohio's defense is as strong as Alabama's defense, so it makes it even more tough. Like you say, if Stetson Bennett, like you say, whoever replaces him, it doesn't really work out, rely on you running game, defense, right? Good defense, ball control, offense. I don't know if Ohio State works that way because you have a bunch of wide receivers, good skill guys, so forth and so on. And Travion Henderson, can he stay healthy and all of that other kind of stuff? So I said a bunch of that stuff to put the ball on the tee for you. Go ahead, my friend, knock it out the park.
I think it's Kyle McCord's to lose. I think he's been in the program for a while. From everything that I've heard and read from the scrimmages, he's kind of been that guy. He has command of the offense. One of the statements I heard was they run the same offense that they did when CJ Stroud was there with Kyle McCord. Devin Brown, I think, he's really good. He has an arm. You broke down his film. And he's mobile. He can run. He has some moves and stuff. I think it's Kyle McCord's to lose, and he's certainly. I always say it. I think game experience is huge, and Kyle McCord has experience. It was Akron, but still, it's still game speed. So he has some experience. Calling. Just understanding how the flow of the game works, the speed of the game. Defensively, there's two question marks with Ohio State. The offensive line, because you're replacing three guys, and so they're still trying to figure out if they need to go to the portal to get a tackle. So that is a concern. And then I think, man, here's the thing. I don't know, like, oh boy, Reggie, that's cold, dog. But I think Ohio. Well, let me put it this way, Hayes. They have to be better defensively with everybody. Oh, okay, y'all. Did we make a mistake bringing up Pastor Hugh Freeze and everything like that? But they have to be better. They have too much talent coming back. You have your entire secondary, and then remember they got the freshman All-American from Ole Miss at corner. And then they got a ACC, first team All ACC or second team All ACC in Jahad Carter back in the secondary. James Laurinaitis comes back. I've heard that he's been balling as far as getting the linebackers to read and react. They're developing talent. The guys like CJ Hicks. They have some guys healthy. They have experience. They're a little thin on the defensive line, specifically the interior tackles. There are some guys that's stepping up. Kenyatta Jackson down here from Chaminade. Some of the guys that you broke down their film, Mario Abor. He's yoked up now. So they have to be better, and I think defense can help out the offense. But I think the good thing about Kyle is because he has such repertoire. He was high school teammates with Marvin Harrison. He's the best fit because he knows everything. He knows the offense, game experience. You can put him in and just kind of go from there. So from everything I hear, it sounds like McCord is kind of QB1, but a decision is not going to be made until the end of spring. But look, like you said, for any team, essentially, quarterback is the most, except maybe Georgia. Quarterback is the most important position, and if Ohio State wants to accomplish what they need to accomplish, they need somebody at the helm that can sling the rock, man.
Yeah, very much. And it's a Big Ten runs through Ann Arbor. And it's funny how that's changed over the past 2 years because it did used to run through Ohio State, through Columbus. And that has changed, man. And I actually gave Jim Harbaugh credit on finally finding his footing. Even though he's had a lot of coaching turnover, he's found his footing. And here's what's interesting. We were talking about coordinator, head coach dynamic when it comes to the head coaches being on that side of the ball and you bringing guys in. It's funny how if you look at it, you can't have two alpha males, the term to illustrate my point of. You got to kind of have an understudy. If I'm going to be an offensive-minded guy, like as a head coach, former offensive coordinator, blah, 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 I can't bring in, or let me just flip it. I'm the defensive coordinator. I don't know if it'll work if I bring in Nick Saban.
Right.
Because it's a clash in philosophy, ideas, but if you bring in an understudy, whether he agrees or not, he kind of knows his role.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what's going to be interesting because when you go back to Bama, you look at them, their defensive coordinators have always been pretty much understudies.
Yeah.
There have never been established guys. Now, Kevin Steele is back there, but I think Kevin Steele understands how to play that role because he was never the head coach in essence, right? I mean, I think he's been a head coach before somewhere, but I'm talking about he wasn't the big name guy.
Correct.
But what Saban does offensively, he brings in the big name guy on the offensive side to do those roles. And now he's done that change. What is it? Tommy Reese, I believe is his name, from Notre Dame. He that's interesting. So, yeah. So before I get to Miami real quick, I do want to add, I'm going to go back and ask something about Florida I forgot to mention. Florida brings in a 29-year-old defensive coordinator who was at Alabama for 2 weeks. I don't know what his role was there, but he was at Southern Miss prior to that. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it'll work out for the University of Florida? Do you think he's the guy? I forget his name. Sorry.
He's their defensive coordinator?
Yeah, you remember the guy that was at Southern Miss? He was like 25 or 26 as Southern Miss's D coordinator. And then Billy Napier hires him.
Austin Armstrong.
Austin Armstrong, that's his name.
Here's the thing. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think it's kind of those why not kind of things because, with these young coordinators, maybe there's something that, Billy Napier sees in him. I'll be honest, I didn't really watch too much of Southern Miss. The games that I did watch, I watched because of Frank Gore Jr., who is a bad man at that running back position. But I don't hate it, man. I think, you get some young energy, maybe somebody that can relate to the guys. He can definitely get them to play, for him. But he's got to know what he's doing. He's got to know what he's doing. And so I don't really know, Southern Miss's. I don't know. I'm going to look that up now.
Well, here's what I was saying. Right here, Elvis says Tommy Reese is a big name OC interested. No, I was saying he's not. I was saying this is something where Nick Saban has kind of changed his philosophy, as I said earlier in the show, where he has not hired a former head coach with years of experience. Like I said, I went down to Bill O'Brien, Dayball, Mike Loxley, Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian. That's been kind of his MO when he hires OCs. Now he's kind of going against the grain and hired a guy who's been an OC really not that long as I'm looking at his stuff. He's only been an OC at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So it's going to be huge. We're going to find that out real quick. But let me go ahead and flip this deal right quick because I know we're running short on time here. I know we've already kind of passed it a little bit. Let me bring up my beloved Miami Hurricanes. All right. There you go. Well, okay. I got you. Now, I thought you were saying Tommy Reese was no, I was saying he's going against the grain of what he normally does in hiring big time names. Like when I say big names, meaning, either guys that were head coaches at some point, offensive minded. That's what I was saying.
And I have to say this real quick case. Nick Saban ran out of time. So everybody was gone by the time he decided to up the ante.
Yeah. So. You should, yeah. And that's what happened when they leave late.
Yeah.
When they leave late like that and they dip out, it's either you got to fire them, because that's what I was saying before. And I guess it's going to lead me perfectly into my point, where I know we say this, when you're hiring guys and vetting guys and so forth and so on, the longer you wait, the smaller the pool gets for talent.
Yep.
It's just like recruiting players. If you don't offer guys at a certain point, they're going to feel like you're not interested.
Right.
So now they're going to what? They're going to go on to other places, look at other places. And that's just what it is. But anyway, as I say that, I lead this into my beloved Miami Hurricanes. What will spring ball tell me about CANES? Every damn thing. Because we are basically hitting the reset button. The only thing that we've done, because we've changed both coordinators. We've changed linebacker coach. We changed
running
back coach.
Who I have to say, that is a big time hire. Bryce Harris Jr.
Yeah. We changed receiver coach. We changed quarterback coach. Just found out today we've changed tight end coach.
Oh boy.
So Coach Steve Field, Coach Steve Field is no longer the tight end coach. He will now be doing, as Coach Cristobal has labeled it, he will be pivoting to an executive role and in the recruiting department. And Coach Woodell, if I'm not mistaken, who came from Oregon with him, was an analyst, is now going to be the tight end coach. Why that change happened, I don't know. We'll talk about it this Sunday. More information to come out. But literally made this change in the middle of spring football. So we'll figure something out, and we'll talk about that later. But I want to say that to say this: spring ball, and I will be giving my record prediction this year. I said I wasn't doing it last year. I'm going to do it this year. After the spring game, I want to see what Leonard Hankinson is not Leonard Hankinson. I'm sorry, Kevin Beard. Excuse me. Is the wide receiver coach now? And that boy said we going vertical. And I'm telling Kevin Beard right now, look at me, man. If the Hurricanes don't go vertical by the third play of the scrimmage within the first 4 downs of the scrimmage, I'm jumping on the field. Number 9, you got to see Coach Hayes. And I'm talking both number 9s. I'm talking Tyler Van Dyke, number 9, and I'm talking Kevin Beard, number 9, because it's a miscommunication. And I'm finna be AT&T. I'm finna connect the line back because somebody lying.
I like that. 18.
Because Kevin Beard said, we going vertical. Don't get me sour. Don't tease me with a good time. What they say in Harlem Nights? Why you leave a swig in there, Lenny? Had my mouth all tuned up to get something to drink. Ain't nothing left but a swig. Don't leave a swig out there.
Miami, just based on the sheer nature of Shannon Dawson's offense, if they don't go vertical, then that's going to be a problem. Just based on what I've seen in Houston's offense, him scheming to get, because Houston's best player was Tank Dell, and so they would scheme to get him open. So if they don't go vertical, that is a problem.
I don't even care if he overthrow it 100 yards, underthrow it. I don't care if he get picked off.
Just do it though,
man. By the third down of the first series, first down, second down, or third down, I don't care which one. I better see it on first down. Better shoot that warning shot. But if I don't see it in the first 3, I'm hot. I'm going off. And it's a night game too, so that cane juice is going to be flowing. But anyway.
Let me ask you this, man. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, shout out to Ella. She said, so, Coach, you drinking the Kool-Aid? No, I'm drinking that cane juice. I'm telling you, Kevin Beard ain't never lied to me before. He ain't going to start today. He said we going vertical. With doggone it, we going vertical. And I better see it. One of them number 9s, well, both of them, boys, y'all gonna be 66 by the time I'm finished. Put y'all together and flip you upside down if I don't see no vertical passes in the first 3 downs. But anyway, Coach blaming players if they don't go deep. Yeah, I'm blaming them. Because guess what? Tyler Van Dyke should have saw press coverage one-on-one. Kobe Young. Blue 52. Blue 52. Blue Angels. Said, take the top off that thing, baby. Huh?
I'm with it. I think, how risky is it to have this much changeover in the middle of spring when you're talking about bringing in coaches? Because to me, I understand from and I could say this hurt Ohio State. And it hurt Ohio State particularly where Caleb Downs was concerned. One of the write-ups that I saw said Caleb Downs, because his father had a relationship with I think it was Tim Walton, they knew each other. He liked Ohio State. But the reason why Alabama was able to take control of that recruitment, even though they had all the coaching departures, was the stability of Nick Saban being there. And the stability of, for the most part, having continuity when it comes to coaching. And so I mentioned that to say sometimes, all this changeover, especially when it happens so fast and everything, you have to rebuild these relationships. And sometimes that kind of turns, people off when it comes to recruits. So that was my question. Is this kind of counterproductive to have this much change in the middle of spring practice?
No, they haven't. The tight end just changed.
Okay.
The tight end just changed, but other than that, these changes were made after the season. I'm saying so everybody's in place except the tight end. They didn't bring in the tight end coach. He was already on staff as an analyst, but he's now titled as the tight end coach. And former tight end coach Steve Field is now going into a quote-unquote executive role and recruiting department. Now, what that sounds like some hubbub for get out the way, homeboy. You ain't cutting it. That's what it sounds like to me. But anyhow, big shout out to my man Hippolyte, man. Benedict Hippolyte. You talking about a ball of energy. That's my man right there. He just left the Florida Gators, hometown dude, played at Booker T, man, was the head coach at Carroll City, one of them boys a chip. He fired up, man. I love him. I'm happy to see him back in the crib because he was down there, went to Florida, left Florida and came back to the crib. So big shout out to him. But anyway, I'm gonna say this piece about the Canes. No, I'm not opening them up today. I apologize, but listen, I'm always opening them up. I want you to call in, man. Football talk. If you got a web page, let us know. That sounds like a YouTube channel. Put it in the link, man, or something. Let us know. But anyway, before I get to this, I just want to say, for the Hurricanes, here's what's going to happen. We got to see it all, bro. This is basically our first spring game again.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Our coordinators change. Like, the philosophy has not been set. It's not like we had a coordinator that 5 years, we changing one, we kind of know the flow of the game. No. We went from Josh Gaddis, who was running, I guess, the power spread or whatever it was, to now we're at Shannon Dawson with the air raid. That's a whole culture shift. We have Coach Lance Guidry, if I'm saying his name correctly, coming in. Defense probably similar, played a little bit different. But we have to answer all questions. The only thing that some of these coaches know is like Coach Mirabal. He knows the mentality of the players currently on the roster because he had them last year. He knows their mentality, right? And their ability, put it that way. You know, I mean, counter blocking is counter blocking, right? You know what I mean? So far, zone blocking, inside zone, outside zone, those don't change. So he's really at the advantage more than anybody else. Coach Tim Harris, he's just going to learn the temperament. Who is Henry Parrish? What can he do? Yeah, you see what he does there, but we're talking about who is he, right? Kevin Beard is learning the receivers. Coach Nicholson learning the linebackers. Coach Adai has been back there, so we kind of know he knows where that is. Jason Taylor, even though he's been there, he's now in the role, right? Over Rod Wright, who left. So there's a lot of turnover there, man. So it'd be very interesting to find out. Very interesting to find out how this works out. And Coach Hayes will be in the building. And that's a night spring game for us, man.
I just found out that Josh Gaddis is the offensive coordinator at Maryland.
I heard it didn't fall through. I heard it fell through.
Oh, okay. Well, good for Maryland.
He was there somewhere. He was there at one point, and then something happened. It fell through.
Oh.
It fell through. Oh. Something happened. Let me see.
Wow.
I want to pull that up because I said the same thing the other day. But something happened. No, it says he's the coordinator, so I don't know. Maybe it's still there. Maybe they just didn't finalize the deal or ink the deal or whatever the case may be.
Well,
so yeah, maybe there.
Good for us at Ohio State because I hated playing Maryland's offense, and now it gives me something to look forward to.
So the Wonder Twins get back together, huh? Mike Locksley and Josh Gaddis get back together. And you know what's so sad? What's sad? Pull him up. All the pictures with Josh Gaddis still got him in Michigan stuff. They don't even have him. Like Maryland football hires Josh Gaddis as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. And he got on Maryland stuff. I mean, Michigan stuff. Yeah, don't even show the Miami stuff. We appreciate that. But anyway. Shad, man, you got to come on, man. Come hang with us, bro. Come hang with us, Shad. You definitely, man. Come get it. Real quick, I got a donut on the bill. I slapped myself. I'm sorry. Your boy was on that drink. Brother J Blaze for the $9.99. Question to Dom. UM in the Big Ten. So, real quick before you answer that, Brother J Blaze been asking, where do you think Miami would have a better impact or whatever? Big Ten, SEC. What's your thoughts? And then I'll tell you what I said.
The Big Ten. I mean, anybody could come. I don't personally care. Okay, I mean, personally, I think the SEC or the Big 12. Um, just from a demographic standpoint, because you have to realize something. I think from a financial standpoint, Miami would bring some additional dollars um, to the Big Ten because Miami's a big brand, and then obviously you have who wouldn't love to see Miami, USC? You just trade places every year, or UCLA. But then that's just kind of a weird demographic because it's just like Miami goes up to New Jersey in November or Michigan and you play Rutgers or in the snow. So,
but we used to do that when we were in the Big
when
East.
you're Big East. So, I mean, listen, I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's some teams in the Big Ten that I don't know how they're in the Big Ten. So, listen, I'm down with Miami wanting to come to the Big Ten. I think it increases the value. It certainly opens up the recruiting pool in Florida as if Ohio State needed more recruiting in Florida. But I will say this, it could entice some Florida kids to stay home because now you're exposed. Okay, if you want to play good competition, you're going to play Ohio State, you're going to play USC, you're going to play Michigan, you're going to play these teams and stuff like that. So,
did you say Ohio State?
When exposed to good competition?
Yeah, I was saying, did you just say Ohio State?
No, I was talking about Miami. If there's a kid
you said playing good competition, and you said all those schools, Michigan, and then you said Ohio State. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah,
why
I
did
said
you
the
say Ohio
first.
State with good competition? I don't understand.
Well, because we were 1 point away from being Georgia while y'all was sitting at the crib just watching like spectators. So I just listen. You got to come right. Come on now.
No, I'm just
Come.
teasing. But because there was a big question about weather and so forth. And I said this. I don't think the weather plays a big deal. Is it cold? Yeah. But you have to remember, we're done in November. Is it cold up there? Yeah. You're going to have some cool days. Yes. Going to be some cold days, sure. But I don't think the weather is the deal breaker for. I said Big Ten. I prefer Big Ten over SEC.
Okay.
Because here's why I say that. I still think you have some good games in there, whatever the case may be. But it also, how do I say, it levels the playing field. What do I mean? And people can say what they want to say. Yeah, we play this. No, it's so many dogs in the SEC, right? That you got to kill each other off in order just to get to the top. They've already been fighting that battle. And now you're talking about other teams are trying to get in there too. Who is it? Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So you added two more teams, bro. Like if you want to be smart, because remember, like people could talk that gladiator crap all they want to. There's a reason boxers take pre-matches before they fight a big one to get themselves acclimated week in and week out. Like I said, I take my hat off, and I wasn't trying to be funny, Reggie, when I said this. I take my hat off to the Georgia athletic director for scheduling that. Because at the end of the day, you can look at schedule, you can look at whatever you want to look at. But at the end of the day, you can still call them champion.
Yeah, they're going to be fresh too.
Like Reggie asked me, I saw that coming in there earlier, Reggie. Who did Miami play on the road to 2001 national champion? I don't know and don't care, don't remember. But get what you're going to call us. A champion, homeboy.
And you know the thing too that Miami being
Appreciate you, Blaze.
Miami being in the Big Ten, it renews some old rivalries because you have Miami, Ohio State playing. That's good. Like I said, Miami, USC playing. Miami, Michigan may not move the needle, as much. Certainly nobody's going to watch Miami play Iowa or Purdue.
That could be the battle of it, but you could create new one, battle of the UMs, because they call Michigan UM up there.
That's not going to be a rivalry. Hayes, I'm saying this respectfully. You
don't think we'll whoop they behind?
It's not that. It's just you're not going to get those people. They're not going to feel the way. To be honest, a better rivalry would be Miami Penn State than Miami Michigan.
That's fair. I'll take that.
Because there's the thing. Penn State has kids from the state of Florida. There's Florida ties. Penn State recruits Florida more,
Michigan got a bunch of Florida players. They've
not
always
to the
had
level they've
players.
always, but not to the level of Ohio State and Penn State. But they have always, Michigan's always recruited some Florida players. Like I'm not getting it twisted from that, but not to the level of the other schools. So
Oh
listen,
God.
but I will say this. But this may get me slapped. But you know what rivalry will come back? Miami Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's always. I think that will always remain. That will always remain a rivalry, regardless. But does Notre Dame jump into one of these conferences at some point?
They're going to have to, and it's going to be the Big Ten. It is all this game crap that they're playing, trying to seize power. Because here's what's going to happen: they're going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoff picture. Unless Notre Dame schedules gauntlets every week, because that's the only way you're going to be able to keep up. Because here's the thing, Hayes, the out of conference, and this is another episode for another show. So when you have these mega conferences and stuff, guess what that means? Out of competition games shrink. You're not going to have the Miami, Texas A&Ms. You're not, I know Ohio State was scheduled to play Alabama. You may not even have that. You're not going to have, some of these big games because they're going to be more centric on conference because all the big games are conference games. And so, at least this is just my opinion. And then I know we got to get off, but Notre Dame's bubble, it shrinks because fine, you may be able to sneak one game, one or two, but you're trying to tell me you're going to schedule 12 consistent out of conference games that boost your resume to somebody who has. So Alabama, let's look at them. Alabama could play Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Auburn, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. They can win all those games. That's 7 to 9 potential games that you've won. Maybe 10 if they go. Ohio State could beat Michigan. They could beat Penn State. They could beat USC. UCLA. If Oregon moves over, they could beat them. Then they could beat a Wisconsin. They could with Lou Fickle. They could beat. So the games, the opportunities you have are slipping. Even in the Big 12, because the Big 12 was added Cincinnati, USF, Houston, all those. So they better join the conference because if they don't, I think they're going to pay for it. It's going to stain them for a minute.
Yeah, Shad brought up a point too. They're going to conflict with that TV deal. Of course, they get that big TV deal and so forth.
But then again, the Big Ten's going to Peacock too. So I mean, you can mesh. I don't know how all that works, but I have to download freaking Peacock to watch Ohio State play next year.
Cause y'all so bad, don't nobody want to watch y'all. Only University of Miami be on Bally Sport.
Well, they went bankrupt. So
I bet they did. Ain't nobody watching that, man. Bally Sport, dog. What channel Miami game come on? 1,632. Huh? Bro, I'm telling you, it was tough, man. You in Miami, bro. You got, bro.
You don't have Valley Sports.
You got to watch the whole game on your phone because you got to find a mobile app because your TV don't get it. Man, that joke was crazy, bro.
That's awful. I would watch Miami games on ACC Network when they had it on or whatever. But man, that's crazy. Oh, got to give one more Miami shout out. Shout out to Dwayne Wade. Just got elected into the Hall of Fame.
All right, man. Big shout out to Wade County. Off of them, man. Big shout out to him. Hey, if y'all Miami fans, let me tell y'all something. You from the crib. If you don't go watch the I Am Athlete, not I Am Athlete, I'm sorry, the Pivot with Udonis Haslam. I was watching that earlier. Oh, man, it's awesome, man. If that dude ain't 305 to the city, boy, let me tell you something, man. Great dude. I really appreciated that interview. Y'all go check that out, man, because, I mean, they asked great questions, so forth. But, yeah, man, I didn't realize a lot of the things he went through and so forth and so on. Miami High graduate alum and so forth.
Yep, and last but not least, got to give a big hot take. This is my prediction. I don't know who's going to win, but this is who I think is going to play in the national championship. I think we're going to have an all South Florida national championship. Miami, FAU, Natty. South Florida right now is the hotbed for college basketball, and I love it.
Hey, I like it too. I'm be here to watch it, man. So we definitely gonna find out. But with all that being said, man, we about to get up out of here. Guys, do me a favor. If you want to join the team, it's free. All you gotta do is hit the subscribe button right now and the bell. Cost you absolutely nothing. But Coach is working on the membership deals. We're gonna have some good stuff going on, man. We might be riding on the night shift in some of them things too. All right. So take care with that. I know I keep talking about these WREs. I got the whole thing set up. We're going to start our own ranking system. I'm going to give you the breakdown on that, on how we do all that. We're going to have a lot of fun this year with these class of 24 recruits. Coach going to make some new friends, and Coach going to definitely create some haters, because I'm evaluating these players just on what I see. I promise you. And now Thursdays, we have another episode. It's called Prime Time Talk. That's right, baby. Prime Time Talk on Thursdays. So Coach do a show Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Come on, man. We keep adding content. We got this Coach Hayes. Forget Bally's. This Coach Hayes Football Network, huh?
Hey.
I might the Coach Hayes TV.
Hey, listen.
Sound better. Coach Hayes TV. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up, man. Y'all stay tuned. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. Dom, y'all go check him out on his podcast. I know Ellen has put up the link. Go over there, check him out on Twitter and all that other good stuff, especially if you're in the track and field and everything else. And Dom, any last words, and we about ya?
Nope, man. Nope. A pleasure as always, man.
All right, man. Appreciate my donations today. Big shout out to Brother Jay Blaze. Big shout out to Ray for the donos. My cup runneth empty, but it's okay. It's all for the people, man. But anyway, Gemini, they ain't ready. Hey, hold up. But you're not ready for that night shift. You ain't ready for that night shift. All right. Oh, Studio One said you should coach. Doggy Diamonds TV has 500,000 subs. I'm telling you, man. Hey, it's a one-man show, but we're gonna be working it, man. I'm like a man on the drum. I'm playing. Got it all going on, but we're gonna make it happen, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. And with all that being said, we about to get up out of here. Catch you at the 50-yard line. Peace.